Never let a good crisis go to waste is truly the motto of the American government. And we're seeing that now, probably more wide open and out in the open for everyone to see than perhaps a long time. Certainly there were certain events in like 2001 that we saw with the Patriot Act, but now we're seeing in 2023 this immense push for online censorship, and they're happy to stand on the bodies to make sure they get what they want. Any chance our leaders have to infringe on our rights, to demand online censorship, to seek, and possess more control over us, they will do it. And that is exactly what's happening right now, as an attorney general has violated a federal court order by demanding social media companies like YouTube, X, Twitter, and Rumble censor, quote, hateful content and spicy rhetoric that may incite. The problem is all three of these categories are weasel words, are open to interpretation, are open to selective enforcement. It's just like terminology like hate speech. It's not a real thing. It was invented to justify censorship. It was invented to justify criminality. As we've seen in the UK even, where now they want to make it a 2-year prison sentence for simply misgendering somebody. You might have rolled your eyes when I said that. You might have thought that can't possibly be true, but I assure you that it is, and it's happening right now all across the West. These weasel words are continuously used to control the populace. You have this situation now where the Attorney General in New York, who is a piece of garbage in my opinion, is now calling on social media platforms to provide answers after everything that's happening over in the Middle East. Now, it has nothing to do with that, right? We know that groups like the Super Soldiers have been calling for bad behavior openly online for years, and nobody has cared. There are prominent voices on the left in the Democratic Party who have openly called for bad behavior and Mad Maxine Waters, take it to the streets. All this stuff have openly called for this behavior for years. But now, suddenly, they want to act like they haven't been the ones who've been doing it, and that it's this nebulous new group of people. I'm sorry, but if I look at the type of people that are supporting what happened over there, for example, the paraglider supporters, they are overwhelmingly left-wing. I think that this is very interesting to watch. They do this call out and say, she sent a series of letters to social media companies requesting they provide detailed explanations of the steps they are taking to stop the spread of, quote, hateful content, encouraging bad behavior against either Jewish or Muslim people and institutions in the wake of everything that happened. Now, they didn't care about them saying this about Trump supporters. People can go online any day and say whatever they want about white people. That's okay. Suddenly they're like, wait a minute. Oh no. Well, we gotta get more control. The letters were sent to Google, Meta, X, formerly Twitter, TikTok, Reddit, and Rumble. Provide a list of questions for each platform to respond to regarding how they are specifically addressing all these types of calls for bad behavior. Now, again, these are all weasel words. The idea that, there's nobody in our government that is protecting our Americans' First Amendment rights. Nobody I trust. They're a bunch of losers. Okay, they all would be happy to take our constitutional rights away if it served them better. I can't honestly say that there's more than a handful of people that have ever even stood up against online censorship in our government. And the fact of the matter is, the online space is the public square. It is, in my opinion, protected by First Amendment rights. The idea that being on Twitter is somehow different than being in the streets is an antiquated boomer ideology. They need to be protected on Twitter and Facebook and everywhere else, just like they are in the public square, because they are one and the same. So now, they didn't send any of these letters out for all the stuff that, our government was hunting down people who were Trump supporters who had 7 followers on Twitter. Attorney General James has consistently taken action to hold social media companies accountable and limit dangerous material from spreading. Just think of the Patriot Act, friends, okay? Think of the Patriot Act. This is something that, was an egregious infringement on Americans' first rights across the board, okay? But you didn't want to have more buildings go boom, did you? Give us your rights. By the way, last February, a federal judge blocked New York from enforcing its totally idiotic, quote, online hate speech law after the fire organization sued on behalf of Rumble Video, Locals, and I don't know who this is, Volok? I don't know who that is. It's law professors. The judge determined that the law, quote, compels social media networks to speak and chills the constitutionally protected speech of social media users. So this is a law that New York got, was rejected by New York, but this broad is still out there just doing whatever she wants, sending letters because they want to get famous. Letitia James is a garbage human. If you just look at her track record, for targeted at political stances and unconstitutionally broad and vague. New York's online hate speech law compelled websites and platforms to parrot the state's opinions, chilling online discourse, stifling the First Amendment rights of the platforms and their users. Free speech, but speech that, quote, may incite bad behavior, an unconstitutionally vague phrase, is protected. The SCOTUS says that spicy speech can be illegal only if the speaker intends to cause and is likely to cause imminent bad behavior. Like when an orator tells a mob to, say, maybe torch a nearby building, right? We saw plenty of this during the Summer of Love. We saw it front and center with the Summer of Love. But, apparently that was different. Take it to the streets, Maxine Waters said. What exactly did she mean by that? Now, this organization is giving the Attorney General until tomorrow to retract her unconstitutional demands or face further legal action. I would say, please don't give her till tomorrow. Immediately protect our speech. Allegedly, Elon Musk spent $44 billion to do that, even though it hasn't worked out that way. 10 months after the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression sued the New York Attorney General, she is once again violating the First Amendment by pressuring private companies to act as government proxies for censorship and violating court orders to do so. What she's trying to do is do what the UK did, where they're saying like, oh, we just sent them a letter. We didn't specifically tell them to deplatform anybody. Yeah, sure. That's a nice business you got there, Rumble. Sure would be a shame if the entire EU blocked it. That's how those letters read. Social media sites are not government stooges, said the attorney Daniel Ortner. No matter how hot button the issue, requiring private companies to police speech is illegal, and it blatantly violates the court order secured by our recent lawsuit. In light of the battle going on between these two nations, the Attorney General sent a letter to 6 platforms, including Rumble, Google, Meta, demanding that they answer a list of questions about their content moderator. Why would they even care? I would just send her back like an eggplant emoji. This woman doesn't lord over you. You don't answer to her. The letter titled, quote, removing calls for bad behavior, asked the platforms how they are addressing alleged recent calls with no real examples of it. And by the way, I want to point out again that these calls for this behavior are coming from inside the house. They are leftists. They are leftoids that are out there who are saying, who cheering on this type of behavior. You're seeing the left turn in on itself now because half of the left actually supports, definitely supports whatever groups are inside of one nation, and the other half supports the other half. You're seeing a real-time fracturing of all these places. The law forces internet platforms of all stripes to publish a policy explaining how they will respond to online expression that, quote, could vilify or humiliate people based on a protected class like religion, gender, or race. The law also requires the platforms to create and publish a mechanism for visitors to complain about hateful content or comments and mandate that they answer complaints with direct response. Refusal to comply could mean investigations from the Attorney General's office, subpoenas, and daily fines of $1,000 per violation. I mean, this again, it's happening all around us. This isn't like, oh, this is happening in the UK. Often when I cover stuff that's happening in the UK, I see a lot of comments from people that are like, yeah, well, the UK is going to UK or Canada's going to Canada. This stuff is happening right here. This is yet today's news. And, I already know what Rumble's response is because, Rumble tweeted this. I wonder if they followed up on this at all. Again, this is why Rumble will continue to grow and, new tech will continue to have an audience because they, here's their response. Rumble's response to Attorney General Letitia James' recent letter to 6 internet platforms, including Rumble. Dear Attorney General James, Ms. Vale, Mr. Adler, I'm an attorney for the Foundation for the Individual Rights of an Expression and counsel for Rumble Canada, Inc. In the above referenced litigation, I am writing to demand the immediate and unequivocal retraction of your October 12, 2023 investigation letters to 6 internet platforms, including Rumble, collectively referred to as the investigated platforms. These letters violate 1, a federal district court's injunction against the enforcement of New York's stupid general business law, the online hate speech law is what it really was. 2, the active stay of all proceedings in that case as to Rumble. And 3, the First Amendment rights of the investigated platforms and their users. Your letter set a deadline of October 20th for Rumble's response. If you do not rescind your letter by that date, we will file a motion with the district court to enforce the terms of preliminary injunction and stay of the proceedings. That's why I love Rumble. That's why I love Rumble. But this stuff is absolute insanity. Got to stay vigilant out there.